Phoebe Walters squinted at the photograph, her heart racing. There it was again, a dark humanoid shape lurking in the background just behind her son's swing set. She flipped through the family album with trembling hands. The shadowy figure appeared in every picture since they'd moved to Millbrook 6 months ago. "Mike, come look at this," she called to her husband. He peered over her shoulder, frowning. "Huh, weird shadow. Must be a trick of the light," he shrugged, heading to the kitchen. Phoebe's eyes darted to the windows. The sun was setting, painting long shadows across their overgrown lawn. Was one of them moving? She shook her head. It was nothing, just her imagination running wild in this creaky old house in this too-quiet town. That night, Phoebe dreamed of a dark figure standing over her bed, its featureless face inches from hers. She woke with a strangled gasp, drenched in sweat. The next day she drove into town, determination overriding her unease. At the local library, Phoebe approached the elderly librarian. "Excuse me, I'm looking for information on Millbrook's history. Anything unusual?" The librarian's roomy eyes narrowed. "Unusual? No, dear. Millbrook's always been a quiet place. Nothing unusual here." But as Phoebe turned away, she caught the flicker of something in the old woman's gaze. Fear. Warning. Back home, Phoebe obsessively scanned old family photos. The figure was in every single one, but now she noticed something terrifying. It was getting closer. In the earliest photos, it lurked at the edges. Now it stood just behind her family, its inky form reaching towards them. That night, tucking in her daughter Emma, Phoebe froze. There in the shadows behind the door, a darker patch seemed to shift. "Mommy," Emma's voice quavered. "Who's that man?" Phoebe slammed the door shut, clutching Emma close. "There's no one there, sweetie, just shadows." But Emma's words echoed in her mind. "Who's that man?" Sleep eluded Phoebe. She tossed and turned, imagining dark shapes in every corner. A floorboard creaked down the hall. Phoebe bolted upright, heart pounding. "Mike!" she whispered. No answer. Phoebe crept down the hallway, the silence oppressive. A chill ran down her spine as she realized the children's doors were open. She was certain she'd closed them. She peered into Emma's room. Empty. Terror clawed at her throat as she rushed to her son's room, also empty. "Mike, Emma, Jack!" Phoebe screamed, racing through the house. No response. They were gone. Panic rising, Phoebe grabbed her phone to call the police, but as the screen lit up, she gasped. Her background photo, a family selfie from last week, had changed. The shadowy figure now stood front and center, her family faded to grainy silhouettes behind it. A notification flashed, one new photo. With shaking fingers, Phoebe opened it. The image showed her family, Mike, Emma, and Jack, standing stiffly in their backyard. Their eyes were blank, faces eerily slack. And there, among them, stood Phoebe herself, wearing the clothes she had on right now. Behind them loomed the dark figure, its arms spread wide as if in embrace. The phone slipped from Phoebe's numb fingers. She stumbled to the back door, yanking it open. Outside, 3 familiar silhouettes stood in the moonlit yard. Relief flooded her as she rushed towards them. "Oh, thank God, I thought." Phoebe's words died as they turned. Their faces were smooth, featureless expanses of shadow. A cold hand gripped her shoulder. Phoebe turned, a scream frozen in her throat. The dark figure loomed over her, its blank face inches from hers. As consciousness faded, Phoebe had one last terrifying thought. It was smiling. The next morning, a realtor hammered a for sale sign into the Walters' front lawn. A young couple slowed their car, peering at the house curiously. "Looks like the previous owners left in a hurry," the realtor said cheerfully. "Family emergency, I heard. Left everything behind. Great deal on the furnishings." As she led them inside, the couple paused to admire a family photo on the mantel. It showed a happy group, mother, father, 2 kids, smiling in front of their new home. If they looked closely, they might have noticed a shadow in the background, just a bit darker than the rest. But no one ever looked that closely. Not until it was too late.